What up, everybody? What up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of AC Reviews the World. I am your host, AC the Engineer, and we are at episode 178. Yes, 178. Hopefully, everybody had a good day today. It is Tuesday, April 28th, 2026, year of our Lord, and it's time to get to the greatest afternoon show in the world, y'all. Remember, this is the greatest show in the world. You ain't got to believe it, but I believe it. That's all that matters. But this is a show where we meet Monday through Friday, starting at 6 o'clock, and go over 4 or 5 topics, to where I just found that we need to review it together. Why? Because the world is a crazy place, and we need to talk about this stuff. That's the problem with the world today. But the best way to show your support is always just to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you can be up to date on all the videos. But you know how I like to do it. We're going to jump over into it. Now remember, the purpose of this is if you ever hear anything that you disagree with that I say, please leave a comment. Let's have a discussion about it. But the first topic we're jumping into today is we got to go over to our favorite place, Chicago. Yes, we got to go to Chicago, where a police officer was killed inside of a hospital. And of course, it's by someone who it feels like should have been locked up a long time ago. But let's get over into it and see what we can find out. Of course, we got a few videos to look at, and then we'll go over into the AI breakdown just to find out a little bit more information about it. But let's jump into it and see what we can find out, y'all.
Man accused of murdering a Chicago police officer and critically injuring another inside a hospital on Saturday faced a judge today. WGN's Angelica Sanchez was inside that courtroom where we learned new information about how he got a gun.
Well, Ben, health officials have said that they scanned the suspect for weapons at the hospital. Today in court, we learned the 26-year-old suspect waited until he was set to undergo a CT scan when he pulled out a weapon. According to the Tribune, the weapon was hidden under a blanket, and that's when he pointed the gun at officers. Elected leaders present inside the courthouse are calling for change to state law that they say led to this tragedy. It's been a painful 48 hours for members of the Chicago Police Department and their loved ones, once again faced with the loss of one of their own in the line of duty. On Saturday, Officer John Bartholomew, a 10-year veteran of the department, was killed. He was 38 years old. His family is asking for privacy.
This is a consequence of a failed system.
The man accused of murdering him was charged and identified Monday as 26-year-old Alfonso Talley. He was on pretrial release for a 2025 carjacking. He now faces a long list of charges, including first-degree murder and attempted murder first degree for critically injuring Bartholomew's 57-year-old partner, who we learned endured a gunshot wound to the face.
So first things first, how do you get a gun inside the hospital? I thought most exits are supposed to be locked and there should be metal detectors when visitors are entering, that they scan through all their stuff, or did he come in through a back way that no one knew about? Let's keep going.
Sir Bartholomew would be alive today if his massively repeat offender of violent crime after violent crime were behind bars where he belonged. We have to change the law.
Elected leaders attended Talley's detention hearing and are calling for changes in the state's Safety Act.
Chicago has had enough.
Prosecutors allege Officer Bartholomew and his partner brought Talley to Endeavor Health Swedish Hospital after he was picked up for an alleged robbery earlier in the day at a Dollar Tree. They say he told police he ingested narcotics and needed medical attention. They say Talley waited until he was uncuffed for a CT scan to pull out a gun he had on him. He then opened fire at both officers. He was later found naked by police under a porch with the gun used in the shooting.
So the officers didn't check him in the first place.
Reason why they had 6 officers around him, even in the courtroom right now.
In court, Talley did not respond to the judge when asked to confirm his name, and his public defender told the court the two have not had a chance to have a confidential conversation. She says he is requesting health care and clinical services, which the judge granted.
God forgive me, but I don't give a shit. He has already abused that sympathy, our empathy, and tried to kill 3 people if you count the nurse. As a result, At what point do we say no?
WGN Investigates uncovered Talley has a criminal background dating back to 2017. Prosecutors asked for Talley's detention following a 2025 carjacking. Judge John Like initially agreed, and then a few months later put Talley on electronic monitoring. That monitor stopped transmitting in March. A warrant was then issued. Those gathered say someone with Talley's criminal background should have never been released.
5 weeks, this kid was wandering the street. Who's looking for him? Find that out. He was on probation. Heads should need to be rolling for this. There's no accountability in people in this building.
Electronic monitoring is now handled by the Office of the Chief Judge. A spokesperson for the Chief Judge's office says they do not comment on pending cases. Meantime, Talley will be back in court tomorrow for the case involving a warrant for the electronic monitoring violation. He will also be back in court on April 30th for Saturday's fatal shooting to continue his detention hearing. He will be held in the interim, and we do expect to learn more details about the investigation, as that is when the proffer in this case is expected to be released.
Now, this is a crazy situation. Now, my first thought, y'all heard that, just like I did. They said that the police officers brought him in. And then he pulled out a gun when he was about to go get a CT scan. So what does that mean? The police officers themselves did not fully search him. Or he hid a gun good enough to where they didn't find it. But let's get over into this next video and see what else they tell us.
Judy, that's right. 26-year-old Alfonso Talley has racked up more than half a dozen felonies since 2017. And before he allegedly murdered one Chicago police officer and gravely wounded another on Saturday, he had an arrest warrant pending for escaping from electronic monitoring. Today, critics are calling the system broken and in need of immediate changes. Alfonso Talley appeared in court today to face a litany of felonies, including murder and attempted murder, stemming from the shooting of two Chicago police officers at Swedish Covenant Hospital Saturday morning.
We should not be here today. This is a consequence of a failed system.
Today, a number of elected officials joined police union representatives and others at Talley's court hearing. Afterwards, they called for more accountability for judges who let violent criminals out on electronic monitoring.
It should end right now. Absolutely end now. Hold them accountable in there. You guys need to be held accountable. I'm held accountable every single day. They're held accountable by just getting out of the car, answering a call. Something needs to be done and something needs to change today.
Talley's arrest record includes 2 robberies in 2017, including one where he was charged with using a handgun. In 2022, he pleaded guilty to being a felon in possession of a firearm. In 2024, he was charged with another felony for attacking a Cook County correctional officer. In 2025, he was arrested for carjacking a woman at gunpoint. Judge John Like, who handled the latest case, agreed to let Talley out on electronic monitoring so he could go to college. When his monitoring device died because Talley did not charge it, Judge Like issued an arrest warrant on March 11th, but there is no record anything was done to follow up.
Did I just hear that this judge let him out on an electronic monitoring device because he wanted to go to college? Let's back it up just a tad bit and look at those charges one more time. 2 robberies in 2017, felony possession of a firearm in 2022, attacking a county correction officer in 2024, and then carjacking a woman at gunpoint in 2025. And this is the man the judge said, okay, well, let's release him on an electronic monitoring device so he can go to college. The school system.
The latest case agreed to let Talley out on electronic monitoring so he could go to college. When his monitoring device died because Talley did not charge it, Judge Like issued an arrest warrant on March 11th, but there is no record anything was done to follow up. The warrant was still active on Saturday when Talley allegedly robbed a Family Dollar store in Albany Park, which later that morning led to the hospital shooting that killed Officer John Bartholomew and left his partner critically wounded.
Officer Bartholomew would be alive today if his massively repeat offender of violent crime after violent crime were behind bars where he belonged, instead of free to roam our streets and cause the mayhem that he did in a hospital.
Our attention's going nowhere until we get the change that we need. And if that means we have to clear out this building of every judge who will not listen, then I say vote no on retention. Push them all out. Eventually they will get the message that they are held accountable.
In a statement, Cook County State's Attorney Eileen O'Neill Burke's office noted that she has repeatedly sounded the alarm over the current state of the electronic monitoring system in Cook County, which has been run by the sheriff's office but was turned over to the chief judge's office a year ago due to the ongoing case, though Chief Judge Charles Beach's office declined to comment on this.
Of course they declined to comment, y'all. The world is a crazy place. Truly crazy. The judicial system is a wild thing. But here's a question. Should the judge who issues these crazy rulings or judgments, should they be held responsible for when someone they let out ends up hurting someone, killing someone, a police officer, a little girl? But let's go over into the AI breakdown just to find out a little bit more about this whole case. Wow. So as we know, on Saturday, April 25th, Officer John, 38, was fatally shot while guarding a suspect at the hospital in Chicago. A second officer, 57, was shot and remains in critical condition. This happened at the Swedish hospital in Chicago. The suspect, Alfonso, 26, a robbery suspect who claimed to have swallowed drugs and required medical observation. While preparing for a CT scan, he ended up pulling out a handgun, hid it under a blanket on his lap, and opened fire. First things first, how did they search him? How do you just have a gun under a blanket on your lap? I might be crazy, I don't know, but it sounds wild to me. Well, Tally shot a hospital window, fled the building while undressing, but it was apprehended shortly afterwards, hiding under a nearby porch. So the officer who died was a 10-year veteran of the Chicago Police Department assigned to the 17th District. He was a husband and father. The unnamed officer, a 21-year veteran who was shot in the face as of April 27th, he was reported to be fighting for his life at the medical center. Wow. He faces 20 felony counts, including first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, aggravated kidnapping, and charges related to the original armed robbery. Federal charges were filed against an Indiana woman, Olivia, for allegedly performing a straw purchase of a firearm used in the shooting. Oh, that's what you get for helping out a criminal. Hospital's officials stated that Tally had been wanded for a weapon upon arrival, but investigators are still determining how the firearm went undetected and remains in his possession. Wanded? Isn't the police officer's job is to search the suspect? But maybe too much was going on with him saying he swallowed drugs, and I don't know, but absolutely madness. Tell me, y'all, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the judges who let someone out like this out on electronic monitoring devices? Could this have all been prevented? The world is a crazy place, y'all. The world is a crazy place. But let me know your thoughts on that situation, and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. We're going to pivot now into our next topic, where we got to go over to, it's hard dealing with women. It's hard dealing with relationships in general. But we're going over to a case now where we got a Wisconsin woman, 27 years old, who ends up stabbing her boyfriend during an argument over some chicken dinner. The world is a crazy place, like I always say. Remember, y'all, the best way to show your support is always just hit that like button and that subscribe button. But let's get over into these videos. Not much information on this whole case, but we're going to look at it, of course, because it's a crazy story. We're going to have 2 videos, and then we'll go over into an AI breakdown just of the case. But let's jump over into it and see what we can find out, y'all.
Prosecutors charge an Okachi woman with homicide after investigators say she stabbed her boyfriend because of a chicken dinner.
Waukesha County reporter Brett Lemoyne joining us live with the emotional plea from the victim's father. Brett?
Yeah, Ted and Mary, Lac La Belle police say 27-year-old Michaela Cloth got a hold of a knife and stabbed her boyfriend through the heart. This all happened on Friday night in Okachi, which is an unincorporated area in the village of Lac La Belle. When investigators arrived, they found a man flat on his back. They asked Cloth why she did it. Cloth said she did it because she wanted to go out to eat that night, and her boyfriend had come over to her apartment to cook chicken drumsticks instead. When asked if there was a struggle, Cloth told police, quote, "No, I did stab him." And
so you can't even bring home chicken dinner. You make chicken dinner. Be careful who you decide to spend your life with. It's truly that simple.
Quote. Cloth says her boyfriend grabbed a knife on the blade side and she got angry and she pushed the knife into his chest. The victim's father spoke in court Monday. He asked we not name him or his 25-year-old son.
Please never let that monster walk the streets ever again.
She admits saying, "I stabbed him. If you have to take me to jail, okay." She didn't hesitate with the discussion with the officers.
Now, a week before this incident, the victim told someone that Cloth, quote, bit his thumb and that he was afraid for his safety. Today, a court commissioner set Cloth's cash bond at $2 million. Reporting live in...
Now, we don't know everything that happened, but the way she reacted when talking to the officers, if you got to take me to jail, okay. Like, it was so nonchalant, or I mean, just the way they described it. Let's go over to this next video and see what else they tell us.
Lucas Roche of Delafield was a lot of things to his family. A loving son and brother, a special uncle, a devoted dog dad. But the 25-year-old's life came to a shocking end at this Okachi apartment Friday night, stabbed to death, prosecutors say, by his longtime girlfriend, 27-year-old Michaela Cloth.
She admits saying, "I stabbed him. If you have to take me to jail, okay."
According to the criminal complaint issued at Cloth's court hearing Monday, she told investigators Lucas was, quote, pushing her buttons because he brought chicken over to cook at the apartment when, quote, she would rather go out.
This complaint indicates that this young lady ultimately got into an argument because he brought home chicken to eat instead of taking her out.
According to the complaint, Cloth admitted to investigators she was stabbed Lucas because, quote, she was angry, and went on to say, quote, she should have just gone to the bar, and the whole thing was just irritating.
I stand before you a shattered man.
The family was unaware of the circumstances of the stabbing here until the complaint was referenced in court, and they expressed outrage that it was over something so petty.
Please never let that monster walk the streets ever again.
Come on now. Over some chicken. This man probably, now this just giving inferences here. You know, times is hard. Going out is expensive. He probably got the chicken because that's what he could afford. He came home, tried to make a good dinner. She got upset. He's trying to cut the vegetables, whatever he needs to cut. She ends up pushing the knife into his heart. And then she was just ready for the consequences.
The commissioner set bail at $2 million cash, saying,
"This makes no sense at all."
In Waukesha, Nick Bohr, WISN 12 News.
In a statement to 12 News, Rosh's parents and sister said, quote, "We are completely broken at the tragic and senseless loss of our only son. Lucas John Rosh was the most loving, giving, kind-hearted person anyone could ever meet." Cloth remains in custody on $2 million bail.
$2 million bail. She most likely will not be able to make that, but you never know. Let's get over into the AI breakdown just to see what else we can find about this whole thing. We got a Wisconsin woman, 27-year-old Cloth, has been charged with first-degree homicide. for allegedly stabbing her boyfriend, Lucas, 25, during an argument over a chicken dinner. The argument reportedly began on the night of April 24th at Cloth's apartment because Cloth wanted to go out to eat, but he instead brought over chicken drumsticks to cook in the air fryer. Cloth told investigators that the argument escalated when he pushed her buttons and turned off her music. She allegedly admitted to pushing the knife into his chest while he was attempting to take it from her hand. So she had the knife. Police found the victim on his back with a fatal wound that went through his heart. She was arrested and a court commissioner set her bond at $2 million. Now, I did want to see if there was any more details about this case we could find out. So a week before the fatal incident, they reportedly told acquaintances, the victim told acquaintances, he was worried about his safety. He claimed that she had bitten his thumb during a previous altercation. So she's one who likes to get violent. She initially told investigators she was trying to take the knife away from the victim. However, she later admitted that there was no physical struggle and that she purposely stabbed him out of anger, saying that she just acted on what he wanted, when he allegedly held the blade and asked if she wanted him to cut himself. Whoa. Let's back this up a little bit. So she stated that she purposely stabbed him out of anger, stating he just acted on what he wanted. I'm assuming she just acted on what he wanted. And he allegedly held the blade and asked if she wanted him to cut himself. So they had a wild dynamic. While being transported by the police, she allegedly made several dismissive comments, including that the situation was irritating and that she should have just gone out to a bar. She also reportedly stated that if they had locked her up, that was cool. Yeah, you see how nonchalant she is? At court, the father described his son as a kind-hearted person and urged the court to never let that monster walk on the streets again. She was previously known in the local community as the victim of a high-profile hit and run, had later faced separate charges for crashing into a car and hitting a police officer. Wow. And then she has her preliminary hearing set for May 29th. Wow. The whole dynamics of that relationship is crazy. The whole dynamics. And all this started because he brought home chicken legs for dinner. And she wanted to go out. Absolutely crazy situation, y'all. Let me know your thoughts on that situation. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. But at the end of the day, you need to choose the people you spend your life with very carefully. It sounds like he knew what kind of person she was. Seems like he was scared for his life, like she said, but it sounds like there were signs that he just most likely ignored. At least that's my thinking, but let me know your thoughts on that situation, y'all. We're going to pivot over to our next topic we're going to be discussing today. And we got to go over to more lighthearted stuff, but it's still stuff we want to talk about. We got fraud happening. Good fraud. Well, not good fraud, but Home Depot. We got a Home Depot manager who has stolen millions over the years in a fraud situation where he was basically providing unauthorized discounts or reducing the prices. Let's get over into it and see what we can find out on this situation. We got a few videos to look at, and then of course we'll go over to the AI breakdown just to find out a little bit more information on the case. But he got away with it for years. But now he's going to jail. Let's get over into it and see what we can find out, y'all.
A manager at a Home Depot in Miami was impressing the bosses by exceeding his sales goals, but investigators uncovered those numbers were too too good to be true and realized he was actually leading a sophisticated scheme to defraud his employer. NBC6 reporter Christian Colon explains how police say Home Depot lost over $4 million.
He was issuing discounts to different companies.
It was a sophisticated scheme that lasted more than 2 years. According to records, Home Depot store manager Mauricio Jimenez sold millions of dollars worth of bulk merchandise, items like power tools and garbage disposals, at steep discounts to select businesses.
So he was selling items half off to these core customers repeatedly.
Because of his position, Jimenez had the authority to approve major pricing adjustments, but records show he went far beyond what was allowed, significantly reducing prices.
So those discounts cost the company over $4 million, and by increasing his sales using those discounts, he was compensated with larger bonuses.
Records show the large volume transactions boosted store sales, earning Jimenez substantial performance bonuses. But once the company uncovered the scheme, they realized the deep discounts cost them more than $4 million. And Jimenez's attorney says there's no proof he personally benefited from the scheme. As for Jimenez himself, he was granted a bond and will be allowed to get out of jail.
So I'm assuming that $4 million, you got to add up the price of that they lost from the discounted items, as well as the bonuses that he ultimately got because he was a great employee in the eyes of them. Let's get over into this next video and see what else it tells us.
According to the arrest affidavit, the company says 48-year-old Mauricio Jimenez ran this scheme for 28 months, leading to the company to lose around $4 million.
Your Honor, there's nothing that says that he was receiving any kickbacks, that he was getting any benefit from this.
Former Home Depot manager Mauricio Jimenez switched out his work apron for a different type of orange as he appeared in bond court. He is charged with organized fraud and first-degree grand theft. According to his arrest affidavit, he ran the scheme from December 2023 till April 2026. The store first noticed it when he worked at a location in Hialeah. Detectives say the previous high markdown activity occurring at store 6872 discontinued after the defendant was moved to his current store, 6343 Flagler, and then the markdown activity there took a dramatic upturn. It was observed that the defendant was stacking multiple markdowns on orders for the accounts that he would repeatedly personally deal with. His attorney said in court that is not stealing.
It just says that he was issuing discounts to different companies.
But the prosecutor argued this was more than just discounts.
And by increasing his sales using those discounts, he was compensated with larger bonuses. So I believe that there would be probable cause on both counts.
In the arrest affidavit.
Let's think about that for a second now. So it's within his job, it's within his rights, or not rights, but it's within his job responsibilities is that he can mark down prices. So I'm assuming he went overboard, and because of that, he got bonuses. But is that illegal? It was a part of his job. I don't know if they gave him a amount that he's allowed to discount, and he just ignored that. But is that illegal? That's the biggest question. Is that stealing? It was in his job. He just went overboard with his job. But let's keep going.
David, it says markdowns Jimenez allegedly gave customers created a negative sales margin of around $4.3 million was calculated to these accounts.
He was compensated by Home Depot with larger bonuses because of the higher sale. I think there would be probable cause for everything.
I reached out to Jimenez's attorney, who says she and her client have no comment. We also reached out to Home Depot, and a spokesperson told us law enforcement is the best source for any questions. In Miami.
Absolutely crazy situation, y'all. But real question, do you think that's illegal? Do you think he should be charged with fraud? Sounds to me he went overboard with his job. Did he do it in the hearts of frauding people? Yes. But is it illegal? That's what the thing is about the law. Is it illegal. And we'll have to see if his lawyer can get him off on that. Now let's go over to the AI breakdown just to find out a little bit more information on this situation. So as we know, the 48-year-old Home Depot store manager in Florida was arrested April 21st for allegedly running a multi-million-dollar fraud scheme involving unauthorized discounts. The alleged scheme took place between December 2023 and April 2026 across multiple Miami area stores. So he authorized to approve 4,005. So he was allegedly used his management authorization to approve over 4,500 unauthorized steep discounts on roughly $55 million worth of merchandise, such as power tools and garbage disposals. These markdowns resulted in a loss of approximately $4.3 million for the company, creating a negative sales margin where companies lost money on the transaction. Prosecutors argued that the scheme inflated store sales, which helped him earn substantial performance bonuses. He faces felony charges of organized fraud and first-degree grand theft. The activity was flagged by Home Depot's internal monitoring system after detecting unusual high-value markdowns tied to his account. He was released on $15,000 bail, and he has been ordered to stay home away from all Home Depot locations. Now, let's see. That is a crazy situation. But was that not in his job? This is a crazy situation, y'all, but let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think he'll be able to beat this case? Do you think his lawyers will be able to get him off? Because that's the realest question, if he can get away with it. Did he intend to fraud them? Yes. But how much is this truly against the law? At least in this case. But I might be misunderstanding something, but let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. We're going to pivot now into our fourth topic we're going to be discussing today. And it looks like we might have time for a fifth. But we got to go over to one of our favorite places to talk about for a while now. Is we got Minneapolis, Minnesota, where we got FBI raided I don't know. But FBI raided 20 child care facilities in Minnesota. It's all about the fraud. So we're going back to more fraud stuff, but let's get over into these videos. And then, of course, we'll go over to the AI breakdown just to find out a little bit more information on the case. But remember, y'all, the best way to show your support is always just to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. Let's jump over into it and see what we can find out.
You're watching Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christy Matino. We continue to follow this breaking news coming out of Minneapolis. We do have a live look to bring you here now. This coming in courtesy of Fox News as we're learning federal authorities raided more than 20 locations, including child care facilities there in Minneapolis today. This is all a part of a sweeping fraud investigation into largely Somali-owned businesses. This is all according to the Department of Justice speaking to Fox News. And we do have a quote there saying, quote, today the FBI with federal, state and local law enforcement is involved in court-authorized law enforcement activity as part of an ongoing fraud investigation. We do know as of right now, authorities executed 22 federal search warrants in Minnesota today as part of this operation, which is not immigration related. So our photographer there is zooming out. But I do have this post that has just come in here. And it says HSI, in cooperation with its federal, state, and local law enforcement partners, engaged in court-authorized law enforcement operations in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. For reasons of operational security and for the safety of our agents, we will not comment further at this time. Now, we do have several social media posts coming in here throughout the minutes. This one, once again, from Bill Malugin. Reading it to you now as he says, DOJ confirms to Fox News that FBI and HSI agents are currently raiding 20-plus locations in the Minneapolis, Minnesota area in relation to ongoing federal fraud investigations. Sources telling Fox locations are largely Somali-linked businesses, including the infamous Quality Learning Center. I'm told that these are court-approved search warrants being served, and they are tied to fraud, not immigration enforcement. Now, Fox also told 22 search warrants were executed executed in Minnesota this morning. Going on to read that statement there from the DOJ. But I also wanted to share with you that the raids center on federal fraud investigations into these largely Somali-owned businesses, including childcare facilities that registered their daycare with the state for allegedly billing for care that was not provided. Now, Fox News is told that 2 of the raids were conducted at the Quality Learning Center and Baby Halamo Childcare, both located there in Minneapolis. The Quality Learning Center received national attention after blogger Nick Shirley visited several childcare addresses only to find an assortment of vacant or non-operational storefronts, closed businesses, or Somali occupants. And according to Fox News, they refused to answer questions or entertain the pair's mock efforts to register a child with supposed daycare. This coming in from Homeland Security, saying Homeland Security investigations in cooperation with our law enforcement partners executed criminal search warrants in Minneapolis relating to the rampant fraud of U.S. taxpayer dollars. So once again, this is all coming in here by the moment. This is a development.
Okay, we got the gist of it. Let's go over to this next video, just a little short of it looking like some federal agents raiding the place. Not much in there. Let's get over to this next video.
We're following some breaking news out of Minnesota. CBS News has learned federal agents are raiding nearly 24 sites across the state, including daycares, for suspected fraud. Let's bring in CBS News Homeland Security correspondent Nicole Skanga. All right, Nicole, so update us on these.
Yeah, Vlad, here is what we know. Teams of federal agents working alongside state and local law enforcement have swarmed sections of Minneapolis early Tuesday morning. This is an operation that occurred overnight. So, children were not present, but they were seen at 22 court-authorized searches at daycares across the Minneapolis area. And our own CBS News Minnesota crew witnessed about a dozen agents operating at Mini Child Care Center in South Minneapolis at around 6 a.m. this morning. We saw agents that were taking photos, agents who were walking around with portable file cases. Now, we should say no one at this point has been arrested in these raids. This is a very stark contrast from what we saw during the immigration arrests that happened earlier this year. And of course, quite controversial, something that the entire city of Minneapolis and the Twin Cities area still remembers well. But this is quite a stark contrast from what we saw then. We were told that this is not an immigration enforcement operation, that this is 22 federal search warrants that have been executed by the FBI. We should note that since 2021, 92 people have been charged with fraud schemes in the state of Minnesota, including 67 convictions, 5 of which are directly related to the Feeding Our Future scandal that exploited a federal nutrition program. As for today's operation, a DOJ spokesperson says only today the FBI with federal, state, and local law enforcement is involved in court-authorized law enforcement activity as part of the ongoing fraud investigation. And we should note that daycare that a CBS News crew visited, that raid, was one that was featured in the Nick Shirley viral YouTube video late last year.
All right, Nicole Skanga, I appreciate you bringing it up.
Wow. They are not playing. This administration is not playing when it comes to fraud. The question is, will they actually make some headway? But it sounds like they are doing something. They said 98 people have already been arrested. But let's go over to the AI breakdown of this whole thing and just see what else we can find out about it. So as we know, on Tuesday, April 28th, the FBI and other federal agencies executed 22 search warrants, primarily targeting child care centers and autism service providers as part of the sweeping investigation into the rampant taxpayer fraud. So the raid focuses on approximately 20 child care centers and businesses, many of which are linked to the Somali immigration community in Minneapolis and St. Paul. So sites including the Quality Learning, Mini Child Care Center, and Baby Himlo Child Center. So the Department of Justice stated in warrants that the warrants are related to the rampant fraud of the U.S. taxpayer dollars. and they are not tied to immigration enforcement. Officials are investigating allegations of businesses billing for services never provided. Now, they say that, and people will not believe them for it. They will always think this is only because that they are immigrants, not because it's fraud. But that is just what they got to go to, especially now that everything's been happening like this. So we got Minnesota Attorney General Office assisted with warrants at 5 sites providing autism services in Minneapolis, in the Heights and in Salvage. So the investigating files increasing federal scrutiny of Minnesota's social services program, which is currently Trump's administration's estimate could involve up to $19 billion in fraud. So it all came with the attention of that viral 2025 video from Nick Shirley. We got Governor Tim Walz stated that the state and federal agencies collaborated on the raids after irregular behavior was caught by state agencies, saying if you commit fraud in Minnesota, you are going to get caught. Vice President J.D. Vance and other federal officials applauded the raids, emphasizing a relentless effort to expose fraudsters. See, when it has nothing to do with immigration, it seems like both parties can get along in some way. No criminal charges or arrests were immediately announced, but they are ramping up raids and trying to stamp out fraud. Let's see how many arrests come from this situation. But let me know your thoughts on this situation. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. We got enough time. That was our 4th topic. We're probably going to go over to our 5th, or we definitely will go over to our 5th topic that we're going to be discussing today. And of course, we got to go over to some body cam footage. And we were just talking about daycare, but this time we got some daycare workers who were finally caught. Daycare workers who were finally caught after abusing multiple infants for months. Let's get over into it and see what we can find out about this whole situation, y'all. Remember, the best way to show your support is always just to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you can be up to date on all the videos. Now let's jump over into it and see what we can find out about this body cam footage. Let's get into it.
Officers responded to a daycare in Ocala after receiving reports that an employee had been abusing infants, triggering an investigation into multiple incidents over several months.
No, that's not how you get her to bed. Yeah. And what prompted her to move her hand off the back of her head?
I kept telling her I was not going to go to sleep like that. You have to let her fall asleep on her own or either rock her to sleep. And eventually she let her go and rolled over. And about a few minutes later, she was just so upset. She was like that, so she just went to sleep.
Was it like a crying, like she was crying upset, or was it like she was trying to catch her breath?
Kind of both. If you've cried for so long that you're going
hyperventilating a little bit?
A little bit, yeah.
I got you. What did you do at that point?
I never went over to, I just let her, go to sleep on her own, but I just kept telling her, you can't do that. You have to let them either fall asleep on their own or rock them in the rocking chair.
And I get that it's your shadow day. So to me, what is a shadow day? Tell me what your responsibility are as a shadow.
Really? I'm supposed to just come in and kind of see how they run the classroom, how their routine goes, stuff like that, their curriculum, but I didn't get any of that day. I was just more so learning how to work the classroom.
Okay. Is there anything they tell you not to do?
As far as routines towards about the babies.
Are you allowed to interact with the babies on a shadow day? Okay. So would you have been allowed to go over there and call?
Yeah. At the moment, I was rocking my baby to sleep.
Okay.
Well, after that, all the babies went to sleep, and we ended up going on our break. And when I went on my break, I immediately went to Miss and told her what happened.
Miss is the one that's here today.
The director.
And when you told her what happened?
I didn't see it, but she told me that she spoke to the regional director. I just know her by Miss. I don't know her last name or anything like that. I also never met her, but she said she immediately told her about Miss Carla.
Okay. Okay, so Miss said that she spoke with her and told her about Miss Carla's behavior.
And what happened.
Have you seen anything since then?
More so just a little roughness, and then just comments towards the babies. Just rude comments. She told one baby, her name is, she's not here today. She's kind of off her own. She only comes a few days out of the week, but she's also a fussy baby. like she cries more than the normal, but you just have to know them and how to calm them down.
Yeah.
But she was saying like we were eating lunch and she was like, I can't wait for you to get your bottle so you can go to sleep and hopefully you sleep until tomorrow. That's what she told me. And that was.
Is that a bad thing? Now I can see what she could have meant, but I won't initially. Maybe I would just wave that off. Like, okay, she just may have a sleep through the night. But I don't know.
On Monday when we came back.
Okay. Anything else that I should know about?
Just like when the babies are laying in their cribs, she just like roughly like turning them over on their bellies. But that and they rock the cribs here. Instead of like, I pat the babies on their back because that's how I was taught, but
That's what I do too.
Yeah,
I got a 2-year-old
like,
and I got another one that'll be here in October. Yeah. That's what I've always done, just pat them on the back.
But when I first, on my shadow day, I noticed that like she rocks the whole crib to like rocks the baby to sleep.
Okay. But is it just like a normal, just rocking the baby to sleep? Has there ever been any incidents that you've seen that's more than, hey, rocking the crib?
No. That's her thing, like she rocks them, but sometimes she can do it like a little vigorously, like not to the point where she's hurting the baby, but it's more than just a normal like little rocking like that. Like sometimes it'll go like that, but that's about it. That's all of that.
But you don't think that, from what you've seen, you don't think that's anything that she's trying to like hurt the baby? She's just trying to put the baby.
She's trying to put them to sleep because I guess that's her technique.
It wasn't just a one-time incident. Witnesses began describing a pattern, rough handling and actions that raised serious concern for the infants. Staff had already raised alarms, warning they feared for the children's safety, but the behavior continued, and at some point, footage of her actions surfaced, confirming those concerns.
I'm a detective with the Ocala Police Department. I'm sure you figured that out by now, okay? Listen, you're not in any kind of trouble, okay? Obviously, I appreciate you telling her you support her fully. Call us, and we're here. So, I know this is a lot thrown at you because you've only been here how long?
3 weeks now.
Yeah, exactly. So, tell me about, have you seen anything going on? Has anybody talked to you? I just want to know, like, what you know.
3 weeks into a job and you're already dealing with this. Jesus.
I haven't seen anything with my eyes. The only thing I have seen was she does put her headphones in her ear.
Okay.
She does do that. The first incident was, I want to say it was my first week. Miss was shadowing. She went into that classroom and then, because she has a baby too, and she came out and she said, I do not feel comfortable with my baby ever staying in there. And then I asked her, I said, well, what happened? And she said, well, I witnessed her putting her face, like, face into the, laying her on her front, and she couldn't breathe. So I immediately called my boss because when I was here, I didn't have access to anything. So I called my boss and I let her know, and I said, hey, this is alarming, but I want to tell you this. I told my boss about it, and I said, hey, we need to fix this because Miss is afraid for her daughter, and I told her what she had witnessed. So
What'd you tell her, what she witnessed?
I said that when Miss was in there, the baby she had made a muffled noise, and she had looked, and the baby was like smothered because Miss Carla was angry that the baby wasn't going to sleep, and she was loud. The first thing I believe I remember asking Miss was like, did you say anything? And, she just felt uncomfortable because that was her shadow day. But I told my boss about it, and my boss had came. She was here for like almost a week, and in that week, Miss had came to me about what she had saw, and that she was uncomfortable. She said that she showed me the video of the baby.
The one in the bouncer?
Yes.
The baby, what was the baby's name?
So at the time, I did not know who it was. I just know that she came to me about it, and she was confident enough to show me. She said it wasn't to post or anything. It was just to show me for proof. So I immediately went right to my boss again, and I told her about it. I said, hey, we need to let Miss Carla go. That was my thing. I said, we have to let her go. And she asked me why. I said, this is the second person coming to me. And she said that she had already talked to everybody else about it before I got here, that she's angry with the babies, that she does everything forceful. She does a lot of stuff forceful. So I said, Miss, do you feel comfortable with giving me a statement? Can you write me a statement up with dates and things? She did give me that.
Is that what I have today?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I genuinely kept saying, we have to let her go. Like, everyone's getting afraid. I gave her the statement, even over the weekend. Like, I really couldn't even sleep because I texted her and she didn't respond to me.
Your boss?
Yes.
Do you mind if I see the text?
Mm-hmm.
Is this her phone number I'm about to see?
Yes, sir.
Witnesses continue sharing their side of the story, but everything changes when officers turn to the suspect for answers. The moment questioning begins, the atmosphere shifts, and the tension in the room becomes impossible to ignore.
So, sorry it's dark. Obviously, before we talked, I know Officer Renault and her trainee read you your rights, okay? I'm gonna just reread them to you, make sure you understand them before we talk, okay? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. Do you understand these rights I've explained to you? Okay. I know the officers talked to you a little bit, so you know why I want to talk to you. I've talked to several other people, so there's quite a few incidents that I want to talk to you about. Okay. You said about 2 months ago, like you started getting frustrated. What happened?
I mean, the job in general. I feel like the ugly ducking. I mean, a lot of people have been like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but last week a new teacher started working, and then I had to speak because she wasn't like helping at all, and I was like getting that pressure on me. With having 8 babies, like, and me doing everything. So, and then being by myself with 4, I mean, I feel like that's too much, to be honest, for having babies that you have to hold them and then feed them, and then that's one of the accusations, that I was ignoring them when one fell. I mean, I had 4. I mean, if I was changing a baby, I just could not leave a baby there if I was changing them and then just go and like take care of the one that hurt himself.
No, I got you. I get it. I got a 2-year-old and I got 1 on the way, so it's tough with just 1, let alone 4. I get that.
I know that I think was wrong.
Looks like March, around March of this year, there was an incident with. Do you have any idea what I would be talking about?
I mean, I know what she is, but I don't know what they said that I did.
You were feeding a baby and was kind of on your leg, and you shoved off and bounced on the floor with her butt and then fell backwards. Do you remember that at all?
Sometimes I don't remember what I did last week. I mean, no.
I got you.
I know.
Okay, that's not something that you remember? No? Okay.
Not even March, like, I have a really bad memory, sorry.
I got you. No, you're good. There was another incident in March that would happen with. Do you know who that is?
Yes.
Okay. That incident happened with a baby bottle. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
Baby bottle.
I was told that he was upset. You were going to feed him, and you were like rough, like shoving the baby bottle in his mouth.
I really don't remember those incidents.
So you don't remember that one?
There's a lot of instances that she does not remember. She might need to get her memory checked.
Sometime in May, there was an incident where he was going to sleep, but he was fussy, and you wrapped a blanket around him. Do you remember that?
No, I mean, I know the infants don't have a blanket on them. I don't use blankets there.
Okay. I was told that you wrapped a blanket like around like his mouth to like muffle his crying.
On his crib?
In his crib. I don't know if it was in his crib or not.
I don't know if they have any evidence, but I mean, I really for sure that I didn't do that.
Do you remember this at all?
You heard that? You heard that? She said, I don't know if they got any evidence, but I didn't do that at all.
I mean, that text was not sent to me.
No.
But I remember that he was on the swing and he had a blanket, but I mean, sometimes they help him to calm them down, but it was not on the crib.
Okay. Well, that person was saying that you wrapped it, like folded it, wrapped it in the mouth, and like tucking it behind the head to muffle their crying. You don't remember that at all?
No, I mean, I did remember that he had a blanket, but I didn't remember that me doing that part.
Okay. Did something happen last Thursday that you remember?
No.
I seen like the puff there. Is there something that happened you just don't want to tell me?
I just don't remember.
She seemed upset and she was going to take a nap, and you laid her in her crib. Did anything happen in the crib?
I mean, they said what I did, that I like hold her head against the crib, like on her belly, with her nose like touching the bed sheet. But I wasn't like trying to kill, like suffocate her or something. She was breathing, and I was just trying to pat her leg on the back.
I'm not trying to say you were trying to kill her, okay? That's not what I'm getting at. I don't think that you would ever just go out and try to kill a baby, okay? What I'm getting at is, like, what happened there?
I mean, I actually was holding her head, but she kept moving, but...
Why were you doing that?
Because I believe she was crying.
So whenever you were holding her head down on the mattress, what was she doing?
Crying.
Crying? Was she doing anything with her body at all?
She was moving her body.
What about her head? She wasn't moving her head?
She was.
Okay. If somebody was holding your baby's head down in the mattress like that, even if it was to calm them down, would you be okay with that?
No.
Okay. And why wouldn't you be okay with that?
Because they could hurt my daughter.
My last question was there was an incident with one of the children in a swing where they were crying, and I was told that you reached down, grabbed by like their elbow, and yanked them up to you, and then held them, patted them, and laid them down. Do you remember that at all?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Have you ever lifted any of these infants up by just their arm?
I mean, just like by the arms, but I don't like do that. And
you don't do you're not doing it to harm them.
Like when I lift them up, no.
You never jerked them up though, like frustrated and jerked them up like that. Like, come here.
Like just one arm?
One arm, no.
Investigators found that some incidents had already been reported internally. After reviewing everything, officers made their decision and moved in to place her in handcuffs. But the situation quickly became tense as she began resisting and making things more difficult for officers.
So, Ms. Carla, you're placed under arrest. Okay, can you turn around, put your hands behind your back? Placed under arrest. Go ahead. Okay.
No.
We looked at this before. This was a whole news article we talked about a while ago.
No.
All right. Give me your cuffs. Listen. Stop. You're gonna get charged with resisting.
She already resisted.
Carla, no forceje. No. Carla, no forceje, es peor.
Yes, 14, go. Yes, 14. Yes, 16.
Hang on, I just
I'm not too far from F14.
Go ahead, take a seat. He's running through.
Later, Carla was charged with multiple counts of child abuse without great bodily harm and resisting without violence related to incidents involving 6 infants over a 5-month period. Bond was set based on the number of charges and severity of the allegations, with conditions determined during court proceedings. Authorities say the case developed after repeated allegations of mistreatment inside the daycare, where infants were reportedly handled in a dangerous and aggressive manner. The investigation uncovered a pattern of behavior supported by video evidence, confirming that the incidents were not isolated and occurred over an extended period. Although the suspect was arrested following the investigation, charges in the case were later dropped in December 2025. The Department of Children and Families became involved, requiring corrective measures and oversight at the facility moving forward. This case highlights how critical...
What you mean the charges were dropped? I guess they're trying to say they didn't have enough evidence to charge her?
Early reporting and immediate action are in childcare environments, where delays in response can allow harmful behavior to continue unchecked.
Now question, will she be able to get another job in a childcare facility because of this? the charges would drop. So I'm assuming it's not on her record. You'd have to look it up. Wow. Absolutely crazy body cam footage, y'all. Let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagreed with anything I said. But that is it for the show today, y'all. We are right at an hour and we talked about a lot of crazy things. Now remember, the best way to show your support, I'm always going to say this, is to just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. But let me know your thoughts on anything that we talked about today, y'all. But these videos will be broken down so you can go back and watch the one you want. But remember, y'all, this is AC Reviews the World, and it's time to review the world together, y'all. It's time to review the world together. I am your host, AC the Engineer, and that is it for this show today. I will see y'all tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Peace.